Distribution is going good. I kind of hollowed out the middle so it cools down. And I've got way more material than I need to make the beds here in the composting area. So I've been spreading it around. I've got that elephant garlic patched, big time composted, and now it's mulched. Got compost in the peas and potato beds. I actually put a thick layer of compost in the center of that center bed, and I put some soil over the top. See compost on that yacon bed. I composted the garlic. The bed here this was the largest cloves that I had, and I spaced them apart farther. So just each plant got 2 handfuls of compost. And over there I planted the medium-sized cloves, and I planted them very close, so the whole bed got her. And then the back bed of skirret got it around the skirret. Ooh, we don't want this to be open. Rabbits will come in there and eat all the skirret. Have to do something with that. Put some compost in that barrel with skirret in it. I composted the bed with parsley root. You can see the little parsley plants. I didn't do anything with this shared bed of radishes and salsify yet. I'm going to let the radishes are getting close to pick. So when I start picking them, then I'll replace every radish with some compost. This little potato bed, potato onion bed, fully composted. Compost in each of the celeriacs. And here we got compost around each of the kohlrabi. Put compost in that mixed planting of garlics, elephant garlic and gray shallots. There's compost in that bed of lupini. That full bed of, at first it's potato onions, then it turns to French shallots. There's also a mixed plant of asparagus in it because I wanted to turn this into an asparagus bed. All thick layer compost. This morning I composted this bed of leeks. And I'm not going to compost these onions yet because I planted other seeds in it, and I'm trying to remember what I planted, but you can see they're coming up here. The ones, and I don't want to cover them up. And right here. And, well, that might be a grass. Right here, right there. So let them get a little bigger. Got some radishes in here that are ready. We're going to have lots of radishes this weekend. This whole thing can be composted. That I could probably do right now because there's no little plants planted in here. I'll weed this and compost it. Those potatoes, I actually harvested them last year, and some of the small ones I put back in a hole. So they overwintered here, these potatoes, which is something that they do. Yeah, I'm gonna get a bucket and get that done. Well, I gotta let that compost cool down because I took all the edges and all there is the middle, and it's hot. So that's enough for tonight. I had a very busy day. Gotta close my gate. And lock it. I'm gonna plant this up this weekend, and then I gotta start using the gate for this too. Pretty good. Got a long dry spell coming, so I got something else. I'll show you in a little bit. And there's what I got. Straw for mulch. I haven't had to use mulch since 2013. This year's been dry. Now I use mulch. If I use mulch when it's wet, then I'm just creating a home for slugs. Not this year. Yesterday, I began the distribution of the compost. It was June 2nd. And I bucketed over compost into various main crop gardens. And I added some to almost every bed, not quite all. Some of them still have tender plants yet. And then the remainder, this is the configuration I decided to utilize in this composting area. So, what does that remind you permaculture people of right here? Yeah? Right there, right there, right there. Not only that, there's the same thing on the other side. Now, how I'm planting this, where all these little divots are, little hollowed out areas, I planted one corn seed. And there's 13 of them in here. There's one in this end, and then there's 3 in each of the 4 beds. And then I connected the 4 beds. This centerpiece is where the squash is going to be planted. So I'll plant 2 squash on that end, the one that's all alone, and then all these connected ones in the center, I'll be planting 2 squash in each of those. And then the beans, I'm going to put stakes here. I'm going to plant the bean here along the corn, but I'm going to make sure it comes up the stake right here. And then once everything is really going and the corn is at its full level, I'll let it to bridge over to the corn if it wants to. That's it. That whole row there is all compost. I've got straw there, and then I ran out of straw, so I put cardboard over that. Except now last night I went and got me some straw. So I'm gonna mulch it right now. That took exactly 1 bale of straw. That's pretty cool. So this complex is, let's just step it off. 3, 6, 9, 12, maybe 15. 3, 6, maybe 7 by 15. Not including this little one or this end bed for Achira. So I gotta go to work, so I'll get busy and kind of hollow out those corn seeds, the places where I planted the corn seed, and give them a good watering later. Everything's gonna warm up. The next 5 days or 7-day forecast, it's all in the 80s and maybe 90s. It's gonna jumpstart this corn. Might have to put a little shade cloth over it, even if it's gonna be in the 90s. I'm not expecting it to be in the 90s every day or all day, just during probably noon to 4 sort of thing. So it's a high maintenance, but high reward. All right. That's nice. I like it. Potato and pea beds have received a heavy dose of compost and mulched. The skewered bed has received a heavy dose of compost, mulched, as well as those elephant garlic, but I mulched it with plants that were growing around and some of the old straw. And here there's 2 buckets of compost with straw over to keep it moist. That's going to go on this bed. I'm pretty sure I'm going to plant tomatoes here this weekend. I've got this bed heavily composted, no mulch. It's too many plants. I'm going to have to kind of, when I mulch it, I'm going to have to be very careful with it. The potato, onion, French shallot bed with the asparagus has received a very heavy dose of compost and mulched. I mulched this little spot right here pretty heavily. It's got a kohlrabi, garlic and onions in it, and a couple radishes. And then I lightly mulched this radish bed. Leek bed there in the center has received a huge dose of compost and mulched. The bed of also Craig onions has not been composted or mulched yet because I have some other seeds in there that are just sprouting. I'm gonna wait. I put 3 buckets of compost in underneath those josta berries, or those black currants, and I've got straw over it to reduce evaporation on it. And when I figure out where or what is in this bed, I'll compost and mulch it. The garlic bed has received a heavy dose of compost and mulched. It looks sweet. I also composted and mulched the skirret along the fence. Finally, I've got 1 bucket of compost here hidden underneath this white corn seed bag. This is where the watermelon's going to be planted this weekend, and I'm just going to mulch the individual plants, or compost and mulch the individual plants. I'm not going to put straw over all the rest of this. I'm just going to water it a lot. Alright, that's it. No, I've got compost way in the back too on the potato onions. That's another story. I gotta go to work. Looking for some radishes. Pretty sure there's a couple in here. Those are onions. Here's one right there. These are all 60-day radishes. Not all of them. Here's a couple that are just 30-day radishes. Ooh, that one's really nice. June is radish month. Ooh, there's a nice one. Ooh, look at that. That's a pretty good batch. We'll go with that for lunch. June is radish month. Is right.